was assigned 4 women in a beginning group on Monday morning. I can remember the club and the court I was on. So it was 4 ladies who signed up for 6 weeks for an hour. And I can remember I fed balls the whole 6 weeks. And after 6 weeks was over, their strokes were perfect. They were flawless strokes. They could have been on the cover of Tennis Magazine, had pretty good service motions. Then I said, okay, now do you want to sign up for the second 6-week session? And all 4 of them said yes. And I said, I am God's gift to tennis, because not only do they have perfect strokes, I have 100% member retention for the second 6 weeks. And then on week 7, I went from the first 6 weeks of feeding balls to week 7, I had them rally back and forth. So I admitting here, honestly, opening my soul, that I was a very inexperienced pro, didn't really know how to handle the group. And the seventh week, it went from perfect strokes where I was feeding to machetes going through jungles on their strokes, where they couldn't hit balls hardly at all when the balls were coming. And so me being a slow learner, it took me a while to realize that it really isn't the difficulty for club players to learn how to hit sending skills, to learn the right grips, to learn footwork, to learn stroke patterns. I don't think it's that difficult for us to teach and communicate for our players to master. But what I realized is what I think is difficult for club players, our recreational players, is the receiving or the reading skills. So all of us read the written word, and some of you may be able to read at 500 words a minute with 80% comprehension, and some can read at 1,000 words a minute with 90% comprehension, or 2,000 words a minute with 95% comprehension. So when we read, our reading skills are measured by speed and comprehension. So for our players, what I realize is some players may be able to handle a ball that comes 10 feet away in 30 miles an hour. And if that ball travels 9 feet away in 25 miles an hour, they get to it really easily and hit a great shot. But if the ball comes 11 feet away in 31 miles an hour, that's when it all breaks down. So the first thing I want to go over is just a system I developed when I really realized as a rookie pro that I wasn't that good of a teacher. And it may sound cruel, but I hope all the people I taught in the beginning maybe have Alzheimer's who have passed on because they don't remember those lessons when I taught them. But hopefully what I learned is that developed a whole system how to really teach reading or receiving skills. We're going to go over that first. What we're going to go over second is when I did teach full-time in Minneapolis, in the heydays, we had a league not quite as big as your Alta, but there were probably 4,000 or 5,000 women that played in a daytime league. So I remember having a 4.5 team, and I had a lady named Rudy on that team, pretty spectacular athlete. Rudy played national she was a national gymnast as a youth, played national volleyball as an adult, received her PhD, and taught physical education in college. Not going to get much more of an athlete in a women's club team than that. I can remember one match Rudy played. She played an hour and 40 minutes. She lost 6-4, 7-6. Good match. When she came off, we'd do a little debriefing and coaching. And I said, Rudy, tell me about the match. You played hard, you worked hard, good going. And she said to me, I had a terrible time. I never could get the ball to the opponent's backhand. And I said, Rudy, you're playing Audrey. Don't you know that Audrey has a right-handed forehand and a left-handed forehand and a right-hand volley and a left-hand volley? She even had 2 overhands for forehand side. I said, didn't you notice that? She goes, no, never saw that. So here you're not going to get much more of an athlete than this person and didn't see it. So we can probably spend the hour us telling stories like that. 2 more quick ones. Maybe my favorite was on a 3-5 team. We had my 2 ladies, again, lost in a tough match, and they played against their opponents. One woman was about 6 foot, very slender, very fit, covered the court well. Her partner was about 5'6", and I swear she had to be 18 months pregnant. All right? So my ladies lost the match, and when we talked things afterwards, I said to them, it may sound a little cruel, but you could have really won that match because you always lobbed that big, slender, fit one, and she got all the overheads. You never once lobbed the pregnant one. And it's totally true. They looked at each other and said, was one of them pregnant? So again, how can you play for an hour and 45 minutes and not notice someone's out to here? But you've all played. It's not just women. I'm sure you've had two men come off the court, Bob and Ben, and look at each other and they say, we didn't really realize till after about 4 rounds in the second set that Art over there was left-handed. All right. So I want to go over the second part is the system I developed to how to teach people to read the play, and really I think we can teach what I call legalized cheating. And what legalized cheating is to be able to move before the opponents hit the ball, or what we call anticipation. So we'll spend the next 55 minutes going over my system for how to teach reading the ball, and then how to teach anticipation. So if you like it, great. You can use it. If you don't think it's worth anything, maybe it stirs some ideas. If you have a better idea, please email me, and I'd love to use your system for this. So how I started thinking about this was, to me, what is the essence of tennis? So we gave some presentations yesterday and talked about, what is the purpose of a lesson? We'll talk about that a little later. Why, when we open this gate and walk on the court, what's our ultimate purpose in teaching a lesson? But for me, the first starting point is what is really the essence of tennis? If all of us could teach one idea and nothing else, what would it be? So for me, the essence of tennis is contact point. So that's why I tell my students, you all know, tennis is a non-competitive sport. So I mean, you all being pros, you understand that. Tennis is totally a non-competitive sport because the match is between me and the ball and the target. So my job during the point is to have such good focus that I make that ball look bigger and slower so I can get to it with this perfect, ideal, optimal contact point. So I have the best balanced, the consistent stroke pattern, this perfect contact point that I can drive that ball and give my opponent the worst contact point. So to me, what tennis is all about is trying to be able to read that ball better and better at a faster speed with better comprehension so I can get a more optimal contact point on every shot. Is it possible to have one volunteer come out right now and help me? And we'll have a couple more come out and play some points later. Anyone want to come out? Anybody? All right. Come on, Lisa. Thanks. That says there's always some sort of reward or bonus for you if you come out and do this. So the whole reason behind teaching these reading skills is that players are able to get a better and better contact point. But I would tell my players, this may sound like the dumbest thing I'll tell you, but it's by far the most profound thing I can ever say to you as a tennis professional, is that the ball goes the way the strings point. All right? So that's what we want to do. What we want to have is that 3/1000ths of a second this ball stays on the strings. You want their strings pointing at the right target. So you all do this already. But let me just, it's in your drills, so this is nothing new to any of you. But I just want to show you how I make this progression. So the first thing to me is really contact point. So what we'll do is just have the people stand here, put your rackets in your right hand in your left hand. And you can hold the ball here. And all I want us to do, you've done this with everybody, we've all done it, just drop the ball and catch it. All right? So we're learning where we want to drop the ball and catch it. We're learning contact point. And I'm really big on saying drop it. And when you catch the ball at the peak of the bounce, say peak. So we drop and peak. We just do that. Now let's stand sideways in a hitting position and do the same thing. Now put the racket like we're going to hit a ball this way. So I'm sorry, if you put the racket in your right hand now, but hold the ball here and just drop and peak and drop and catch. And we get to know where the contact point is. And so now go ahead, you can just take the ball and drop and give it a hit. And try to hit it right at the peak of the bounce. Okay, we'll do that just twice. And of course, when they do this, to me again, tennis is a sport that what we have to do is control the three parts that move. So three things that move, obviously, are our body, our racket, and the ball. So I'm also a big believer in really emphasizing balance or body control. When I go around and watch some pros teach, and they would feed a ball, and that student would go over and hit a ball like this, and the pro's going, nice shot, good job, or they're hitting the next ball like this, and they're doing this, and they're off balance, I kind of go nuts up there monitoring or critiquing them. So I'm such, again, a really big believer that we have to teach contact point, and we really have to make our students aware of what they're doing on the court. Because just like I think the essence of tennis is contact point, I believe the essence of teaching a lesson, our responsibility is to increase self-awareness in our players. So when I was the general manager at the Rochester Athletic Club, we had an office for our tennis pros. That was written right on a plaque, right next to the door of the office when they watch out. Purpose, increase self-awareness. So if you do this, as pros, we all know to ask questions of our staff. they're student of our students. They're student-centered lessons. We're always asking questions that they can understand themselves better. So we'll do this a couple more times, and they want to have this. They're just going to feel their perfect balance when you drop it. We got perfect body control. So then you both can stick your racket in the cart here if you would. And so you want to stand right here, sticky, right? Lisa, sorry, just stand behind her. You've all done this a million times, we're going this quickly. All I want you to do is to move 3 steps forward. You're going to move 3 steps forward and just catch it and hold your finish for a second. So move over forward, catch it. You want to see good balance. Good, you can put the ball in the cart, you can rotate around. So you all know how to do this. So we're getting them to have good contact point. I want them to be aware of contact point. One more time. You've all done this plenty. Okay? So then what I'll do next with people is some balls. The system I use for teaching people to read the ball better is I divide the height of the net into 3 heights. I divide it into low, middle, and high. You may use 1, 2, and 3 for different zones. So the concept is, what I say is the ball follows the laws of physics and geometry. So once that ball leaves my racket, if the ball leaves my racket, and it's going to be a low ball over the net, for the first 2 or 3 feet it's traveling in this trajectory, it all of a sudden isn't going to do this and then do that. All right? So we wanted to teach our players a split second they can see the ball leave the racket to understand what the trajectory was. So the next thing of what I'll do is we'll go over how balls may come over the net really high. So if they come over the net high like this, look where the peak of the bounce is. The peak of the bounce is going to be high. The peak of the bounce is above our strength or strike zone, as we all know. So no one's going to carry their suitcase through the airport like this. There's no strength up there. So we all want to hit a ball down here. So what I would teach is to say, if you want to both stand, and your name is Matt's here and Lisa's right here, because we're going to do high balls. So what we want to do now is we're going to read that ball comes over the net high, and we're going to back up for it. And you're going to back up as fast and as far as you can. But once the ball bounces, then you're going to bounce on your back foot, because it's really important to teach the rhythm method of ball control. So there's a real rhythm out here. So when that ball bounces on the ground, we're going to bounce on our back foot. And then as the ball comes up in the air and then drops down to our waist, is the time we make all of our adjustment steps and really get in position and can still hit that nice waist-high shot. So if I just feed a ball like this really high, if it comes high, you're backing up, and just let it, okay? Good, that's good. Try it one more time. So if I feed it high, you back up for it. When the ball bounces, you bounce, and then just forward. It's the same thing. When the ball comes high, you back up, and you, okay, one more time. We're going to back up, and we'll let it come down to our waist. So way back up for it, and let it come down, and we have good balance, all right? So I just teach those balls like that. If you want to grab your rackets, you each can stand in the middle of a half here like you're playing doubles. So the next thing I would do is go to the other side of the net quickly. And we would feed the different types of balls. So my terminology, I call them regular. So the first thing I'm going to do is just going to feed you a middle height over the net. And you're just going to stay in the baseline and hit a nice ground stroke. So if you get a middle height ball over the net, it's just nice on, good shot, nice. All right. Yeah, my fault. Here we go. It's a nice ball. These balls, if we notice the height, they're coming the middle height over the net. And at a recreation or club level play, I'll say most of those balls will be landing from here into here. So we want to get the players to recognize the height over the net and the correlation between the ball bouncing on the court and the height over the net. So sorry, a little low. Here we go, middle height over the net. Then what I'll do is I will just first show them one. Don't just stay where you are, you don't have to hit this. But notice how this ball is not going to gain any altitude. It's going to stay low off my racket, low over the net. And I'll make the claim again, at a club level player, all these balls will land in the service line. And we know that all of you can hit balls low over the net and drive them to the baseline. But at a 3-0, 3-5 player, I'll make the claim 90%, 95% of these balls will land in the service box. So just stand and watch. Don't do anything yet. Just look at this ball comes low over the net and how short it lands. So what do our recreation players do? They'll stand here, watch the ball, watch it bounce, then try to go forward, and it bounces twice before they get it. So if we're talking about reading skills, trying to improve speed and comprehension, I want these players to comprehend sooner how that ball leaves my racket and gains no altitude. So now you're going to see that, and you're going to come forward and get the ball at the peak of the bounce. So look how low it is. Nice hustle, Lisa. It's low, and you're coming forward. You can back up and try it again. One more time. So how low it is, and getting lower than that. Shot. How low it is, and you're coming forward. So then I want to feed you the high balls now. Look at how high they come over the net. We want you to back up for it when the ball bounces. You bounce on your back foot, adjust, and after you hit, just hold your finish. And let's see if you're a stable person or not. All right? You're going to back up. Nice adjustment. Good. You can back up. Nice balance. So we'll do that. Then what I would feed is just the 3 balls. I'm going to feed you a middle height, a high one, and then a low one. And then we'll feed 3 to you. So you're going to recognize the different heights over the net. Here's a middle height. You stay in the baseline. A high ball, you're backing up. And then just a low ball, you're coming forward. Same thing for Matt. Here's a regular ball, regular exchange. Here's the high ball. Good, and then here's a low ball. So again, so you all know how to do that, but that's just, again, preliminary how I would set it up. Here's where the keys for me work. It's now to have our players rally back and forth, and again, the job is for them to increase their self-awareness. Matt, do you mind coming over on this side? You're both obviously really good players. Can I ask you to hit the ball maybe at about a 3.0 level of play? All right, so softer balls. What I want them to each do, as fast as Lisa can see the ball come off Matt's racket, I want you to say low, middle, or high. And the same thing, when you see that ball come off Lisa's racket, how quickly can you say low, middle, and high so everybody can hear it? So here we go.
Middle.
Okay.
High. High.
Middle.
Low. High. High. High.
Okay.
Middle.
Low. Move forward. Nice rally. You can stop there. But I would still make the claim that one of the biggest difficulties for our player is they react too slowly on the court. I mean, when we get to watch a pro tournament, when I go to the U.S. Open, it's always proof for me of alien life on Earth. It really is. There's no way Nadal and Djokovic and Serena can be as fast as they can and cover the court and get to those balls. And that's not human what they can do. But I still make the claim most of our recreational players don't even notice if Matt's left or right-handed, let alone notice if the ball is high, middle, or low. That's the first thing I want everyone to do, is to make sure they read the ball sooner and sooner with better and better comprehension for the ultimate purpose that they get the optimal contact point on every shot. That's what we're after. And the next thing I do is really expand this idea. Because the concept is if someone's a 3.0 player or a 4.0 player, that tells us what level of player they are. But does not tell us what kind of player they are. There's only 2 kinds of players in tennis. You all know this. Either I'm a developing player or I'm a mature player. And when I'm a developing player, I tell my students, you can be self-centered, you can be self-absorbed. So one of the times really in life is all about me. Because I believe our more beginning, developing players should be very self-centered and self-absorbed. Because the focus should be on themselves. Learn better and better, what's my contact point like? What's my balance like? And where am I standing on the court? So now what I'd like to do is have you hit back and forth, and instead of reading the ball on the other side of the net, let's go ahead, Lisa, self-absorbed here. So what I want her to do, as she hits the ball, I want her to say out loud, stable or moving, all right? So I want these people to realize what level of balance they have when they're hitting the ball. Same for you, Matt. Are you a stable person or are you moving? Okay. Nice rally. Okay. All right, good. Nice rally. You can stop. So first I want them to understand their court position, the next, or their contact point. The next thing I want them to really understand is balance, so they know if they're stable or moving. And the third idea I want them to really understand in a self-centered way is their court position. So we all know, talking to Jorge Andrew yesterday, he was saying he was just at the Italian Open a couple days ago, and I was watching Wawrinka and Djokovic have a practice match, and they really realized if that ball was a little bit shorter and they were in the offensive zone, they took advantage. They knew that when they were in the neutral zone, and they knew when they were in the defensive zone. They had that awareness, and they adjusted their shot accordingly. So now what I'd like you to do is rally back and forth and really be aware of your court position. And what you can say is offensive, neutral, or defensive, where you're hitting the ball based solely on your court position. So go ahead. Weighted defensive position. All right, nice rally. So the first concept here is I really want people to get better and better reading skills. Read the different heights of the ball. And better players also can read the speed. So the four variables in the ball are speed, spin, and trajectory. So you really want them to be able to understand that. Then how I shift into having them teach anticipation is in my system, I honestly believe what I use is all of anticipation and all of shot selection can be summed up in 3 ideas. So what I used was the ABCs of tennis. It stood for actual contact point, balance, and court position. And this is what I used. It's why I believe for developing players, well, let's be self-centered and self-absorbed, and I want you to understand when you're hitting the ball what your actual contact point is, what your balance is like, and what your court position is. Because we know there's only 2 types of players, developing and mature. We also know there's only 2 kinds of shots. You know, a forehand ground stroke, a backhand volley. Those exist in practice. But we don't know. There's no such thing as a forehand ground stroke in a match. There's no such thing as a backhand volley in a match. It doesn't exist. Only 2 types of shots exist in a match. Either a setup shot or a finishing shot. So either every time we're trying to develop the point or we're trying to end the point. So in my system, what I said is if all 3 factors are in your favor, it's a finishing shot. So if Lisa has a great contact point, excellent balance, and good court position, she really can try to end the point. But if 2 of those factors are less or in your favor, a person really should be trained to think setup shot. All right? So now what I want you to do is to hit back and forth, and here's the idea. Only 3 variables matter. Actual contact point, balance, and court position. If you think all 3 of those are in your favor, I want you to say finish. You're getting a finishing shot. If 2 of those factors are less, so all we discussed it, Lisa's back here, this is defensive court position. She can have a great contact point and great balance, but you all know this. Our students are thinking exchange of neutrality back here. All right? So go ahead, hit back and forth, and say for the crowd now, is it a finishing shot or a setup shot?
This is starting.
Yep, it's good start.
Starting.
Yeah. Okay, what do you now? Okay. So we're still thinking about developing players here, so you say it for yourself when you're hitting the ball. Okay.
Starting.
Okay. Set up. Definitely a setup shot. The finish, the setup, the finishing shot. All right, good. So what we're doing when we play out points and drill with the students is when we play out points, I go over to Lisa and say, now tell me, what was your actual contact point on that shot? Or where was your balance? Where were you standing on the court? So again, I'm asking the student, because my purpose as a pro is to develop self-awareness in them, and they get to understand and critique their own selves, and they learn what the potential and limitations are on their own shots with some guidance. So one more time, say to yourself, finishing or setup?
Setup.
Yep. Nice shot. Okay, one more ball when you rally like a recreational player. Let's see, say if you're hitting a setup shot or a finishing shot.
Setup. Setup. Setup.
All right, so now when I gave my lessons, I tried to make them a little fun, make them a little enjoyable, and I entertained myself. I don't know if I ever entertained any of my customers, but I had fun when I taught. One of the things I always say is, what's the greatest sin when you're playing singles? And to me, the greatest sin is an unforced error. There's no need to do that. I really think the great majority of unforced errors happen when someone's in the setup zone trying to hit a finishing shot. So I always would have little drills to see who was the biggest sinner or wouldn't sin when they played. All right, but that idea about setup shots for setup shots and finishing shots for finishing shots. You know, the next idea he said is it's like there's two kinds of shots and there's two kinds of players. If you're a developing player, you get to be self-absorbed and self-centered, and you focus on these three ideas for yourself. But once you've developed, and you can take these things for granted, just like even our beginning players always know to walk out in the court and serve from the right side first. Nobody really goes out and starts the first point from the ad side. That's pretty elementary. But can they develop the knowledge to make it just as elementary and just as aware to them to have a knowledge to know their own ABCs? And once they master those, then they should forget about it. They should jump that cavern, and all their focus should be on the other side of the net. So once Lisa understands her sense of balance, her court position, and her contact point, and she knows what the potential and limitations in her shots are, she takes it for granted, and her entire focus changes over to Matt, and she wants to develop this skill to read the ABCs in Matt, to know what his actual contact point and balance and court position is. If she can read those, then she knows what the potential and limitations of his shots are. And I've been amazed again sometime. I remember doing a drill once with 4 ladies in doubles, and again asking this side to hit a point. And I asked these 2 players, I said, now, that lady over there, did she hit a forehand or a backhand? This lady answered forehand, this lady answered backhand. All right? So again, I'm saying a lot of the players don't see what's happening on the other side of the court. So now what I'd like to do is hit some balls back and forth, and let's go through that same progression. I want you to say stable or moving. But what I want you to say it for is your hitting partner. So Matt, you're going to scream out if Lisa's stable or moving when she's hitting. Go ahead. Okay, nice. Good. Rally again, and now what I want you to say is read their court position. So I want you to say, are they in front of the baseline or behind the baseline? Because you can say all kinds of different things here. It could be offensive, neutral, defensive. It could be in front of the baseline, behind. So now I want you to read if your opposing player is in front or behind the baseline at their contact point.
I'm starting behind baseline.
One more hit. See it out each time.
Starting behind. Behind.
You need a water? Good.
Behind.
Shot.
Behind.
All right, let's one more rally. We're going to go on to something different. Now I want you to say whether you think your opponent is hitting a setup shot or a finishing shot. All right, so how do they look? Are they in charge or are they in trouble? See his low contact point? That's a setup shot. A little bit off balance, it's a setup shot. Okay. Lower contact, he's matching the setup shot. That's cool. Now when Matt really had perfect balance, perfect contact point.
Oh.
All right, you you want to come to the net for a second? Are there two other players that would come out? We'll do a couple doubles points.
Come on, Landon. Come on, Marty. Come on.
Because again, in my system, what I like is to have things that are so tangible. So you don't go to a speech and someone says, go back and give great customer service, or go back and teach a good lesson. Yeah, you say, send me in, coach, I'll do it. No, we want is very tangible ideas. So let's put this in, we'll do it for some double situations here. And the next idea I have is I always ask my players, what's the most important line on the court? Which line is most important on the court? Well, for me, this is the most important line on the court. Now, again, this really applies when I taught 25 years ago when it was more wood rackets and a linear game. It doesn't apply so much for really top players anymore with an angular game and all the new technology. But I believe this is still very valid for recreational players. I really think anybody from a 4 or 5 or below. So what I say again, what are the only two types of shots my opponents can hit? A setup shot or a finishing shot. I say by and large, what in doubles makes the difference between a setup shot and a finishing shot is this line right here. This is the most important line on the court for my recreational players to understand. Because all of us can put a ball away only two ways, speed or accuracy. So when we're playing doubles, what do we usually play? 3-5 against 3-5 and 4-0 against 4-0. So we're playing pretty much somebody of equal skill level. So if Lisa and I are playing and we're about an equal skill level, we also have pretty much equal court coverage skills. So the idea is when your opponent plays Williams, or again, Djokovic plays Nadal, they're all crushing the ball, but they can run down each other's shots because their court coverage skills are equal to their reading skills are equal to the other person. So if I'm behind this line right here, it's really difficult for me to drive the ball so hard they can't get it. So it's tough to put it away by speed. And back here, I'm not going to get just an overhead the ball up super high to bring it down to their feet where they're hitting balls like this. So I really believe at a recreational level player, someone's got to get in here before they really have the higher contact point for accuracy or can drive it. So if you want to go back on the baseline, and you want to be the net person here and match the baseline, and what's the name? Margie? Marley. Marley's at the net. So here's how I put all these three ideas together. Let's say if Lisa's hitting a shot and Marley's at the net, you don't have to just block off your racket or let it go. But I know Lisa's never done this. Let's say one time, for hypothetical reasons, she lobs short. All right? So the concept is, let's look at what's going on. Where is Marley standing? She's in front of the most important line in the court. So she's in the finishing zone. And what happens if the lob goes like this? What's her contact point look like? What's her balance look like? So her contact point is really good, and her balance is really good. One more time. She's in the finishing zone. She has excellent court position, excellent balance. So of course, what is she going to hit? She's going to hit a finishing shot. And what does she do? And your name is Wendell. She can take Wendell out. Like Stan just said, she hits for spaces. She's aiming. She's aiming here. So the idea is, if all of us can see this, if we can read the ABCs in Marley, all three of us know what to do. So how many times do we have club players where one person's hitting the ball and all other three are standing still and not moving? That's not what doubles is supposed to be. Doubles is one person's hitting and all other three are moving to gain the advantage. So here's how this ABCs works. Again, if Lisa, which again never happens, would lob short, we all see that. So what happens is everybody moves. Matt, what do we want? Better speed and comprehension. The split second that ball's 1 and 2 and 3 feet off the racket, if his comprehension's that fast, Matt already did it, he's coming forward. Because why? He likes Marley, but he doesn't trust her. Okay? He likes, but she may hit a winner, she may not. Or Wendell could do what? Wendell was moving too. So once Wendell saw her salivate over there, he didn't stand here. He's backing up to save himself and to be a hockey goalie. He may make a great get and put the ball over there. So as Lisa lobs short, you all know this, Matt's moving forward, Wendell's moving back, and Lisa is a mature person, so she doesn't stand here and throw a racket down and pout, but she goes, whoops, and she can anticipate where Marty's going to hit, and she's moving over here and getting her left foot pretty close to the center service mark. Hopefully, if it comes in here, she saves it. So let's just try that. Don't hit it too hard, okay? They're your friends. So let's just have action. So what I want you to notice is as we feed the ball short and all three factors are in her favor, all three other people move. No one's standing around. So here we go. Action. Okay? And he saves it. Good. Nice. One more time. Look at how we feed her a ball. The ABCs. All three factors are in her favor, and all three other people move. Okay? Fine. One more time. And if we really tune in again to the rhythm method of ball control, we know we move as fast and as far as we can. And once your opponent makes contact with the ball, we stop over here. So Lisa's going to move over as fast and as far as she can. And once Marty goes into her swing motion, she's going to stop. Matt's going to keep moving as fast and as far as he can. As Marley hits, he doesn't have to stop. He doesn't have to stop until these two over here are about ready to hit. Look how with tuning into the rhythm of the play, everyone moves and covers as much court as possible. So everybody moves, Matt still keeps coming in, and we save it. Okay? And we keep backing up over here because he's in the finishing zone. We still stay behind. Okay, now we move in. Okay? Nice job. So again, these obviously for our pros, they move well. So I make the claim that our club players, our recreational players, just don't read these things in their opponent and don't move as fast. And one big thing is what if Matt was serving? And Lisa's standing over here and she's trying to make the decision when to come in behind the return. So if Matt hit a serve, I want my players to understand if the return, you don't have to hit it. Let's say he served, and if the return goes like this, all right, it's a little shorter. You try it again, a little too deep. If I hit a return like this, it's a little bit shorter and easier. What does he have? All three factors in his favor. He had great balance, great court position, and great contact point. She should stay back. There's no point in going into the lion's den. And if the ball lands like this now, a lot deeper and in the corner, now she realizes he's got two factors or less in his favor. That's worthwhile following in behind the return. So again, if we can ask questions and make our players, so if we play out the point, you go ahead and serve now, Matt, and you can return, Lisa. And all I want here is that Lisa to say in or stay. So play half speed, and by your return, what would you do here?
Go.
You would go. Okay? Nice. And they're both charging in. All right. Let's do that one more time. And the next idea in doubles here, if you're here, is when that return goes down the middle like this, what does Wendell get to do? Wendell gets to play navel tennis. You always, when you're at the net, you always keep your navel in front of the ball when you're in the most advantageous to hit position. So now we want you to hit the ball again. Lisa's going to try to figure out whether if he's hitting a setup shot or a finishing shot, whether she knows to go in, and you're playing navel tennis. You're going to notice if the ball goes wide or if the ball goes down the center. And of course, you're going to move accordingly and keep your navel in front of the ball. He's the most effective person. So what Wendell's saying is wide or center. Okay. Okay. Nice. You both coming in, both charging in. Nice. Good lob. All right, go sit.
I'm going to take it out to the air.
Okay, one more point.
Back.
Okay, that's got to probably stay back on that one. All right. And then the concept is, let's play some more doubles points. You can use this idea. want to do is focus on Marley. So the idea is, what she has to do is see and observe where the serve is landing. So I'll make the claim, if your serve lands in front of this most important line on the court, there's no way she should even dream of poaching. The ball lands this short. I mean, you can have such an easy ball, she'll be in closer. She can't poach, but do our club players know very specifically and tangibly when they should poach and when they should stay? So if a ball lands right in here, we want you moving. We want you to be more guarding your alley. Obviously, if it lands right here, you're poaching. I also think if it lands right here, you're still staying put because it's right down into her forehand, and you know what to do. If it's wide, you're guarding the alley. So once again, as a net person, by reading the court position where it lands, she knows what to do. And the same thing, Wendell gets to anticipate more. So I want Wendell to be very observant and aware of where this serve lands. He has some sort of sense of feel or prediction about what kind of return potential limitations are. So let's go ahead. Okay, now Marley stays, and Wendell should be more aggressive on a soft serve like that. Okay. All right, one more time. Let's hit it serve. All you can make a judgment what you think Marley and Wendell should do. You can hit whatever you want, based on where the serve lands. Nice. All right, so when teaching our club players this, how I sum this up is I wrote a book about 25 years ago, graphics roll, but if anybody wants one, give me $5, cover my postage, and I'll give you one. It goes over a lot of these ideas. But I coined a phrase called deep to deep and close to close. So what I meant by that is it's setup shot to setup shot and finishing shot to finishing shot. So if I could get, I said the greatest sin in singles is hitting an unforced error on a setup shot. I claim the greatest sin in doubles. And after teaching 3-0 and 3-5 teams for years, I will make the claim that 1/3 of the points are lost by a deep person. You're already with me? You're already saying it? Hitting a ball to the net person. So I would tell my players, first match that you're on my team this year, never again will you lose a match this entire season. You will not lose a match, I promise you. Somebody could be better and beat you, but you're not going to beat yourself. So if you can eliminate, as a deep person, hitting the ball to a close person, I really think our players won't lose matches. Because that's how I think they lose almost 1/3 of the points. So now what we want, the idea is, a setup person should always hit the ball to the setup person. And how do you do that? One of two ways. Either cross court by Wendell, or what? If the ABCs, all three factors, are in disfavor for Matt, he's got a really awkward court position and contact point and balance. What does he do then? He lobs it over Wendell's head. So by him understanding his ABCs, he knows his potential limitations, whether he hits a cross court or whether he chooses a lob. And obviously, if Wendell or Marley get the shot, they're going close to close and taking out the person near them. And of course, where? At their feet, as we all know. So now what I want you to do is to say to yourself, set up or finishing when you hit it, and know which person you should be hitting towards. So go ahead.
Set up.
If she goes for a setup, he goes for a setup. All right. Okay. And she goes for finishing. Nice. Hit the open space. Try it again.
Set up.
Set up. Okay. Set up.
Finish.
Nice. Nice point. One more time. Well, setup shot to setup shot. Good. And there. All right, now they're hitting nice rallies. So should Wendell turn to Lisa and say, come on, get with it. You're my partner. All you're doing is getting about 6 balls in a row and never missing. Step it up. No.
Yeah.
Because what is it for her? Boring is beautiful. All right? So that's what the job of this setup person is. Their job is to be boring. Their only job is to set the point up and never miss, and ideally never hit it to the net person. If they do their job, they're good. What's Marley's job? Never give a sucker an even break. All right? So if the ball goes to you, you don't want to give her a second chance to hit back. You want to go close to close and take them out. All right, let's change the point a little bit. Let's have all four of you come up and stand in the service line, because I really believe this idea of these ABCs is relevant, and you can use it in every playing situation, and every teaching situation. So again, you're all Southern, you're a close-knit USPTA group. You hit these halves, don't hit them too hard, okay? So the concept is, I'm going to feed a ball high and wide to Matt. So what happens is, Marley reads this high. She knows he's in charge. She moves over and in. She's going to come up and chase her navel on the net strap. And what do these two see? They see they're in trouble. They're both backing up as a tandem, backing up and over this way, because you figure you're doing what? Hitting for the open space to the shortest target over here. So again, if I feed a ball to Matt, high and wide, all other three are moving. Do it half speed and play it out. So all three move. Sorry. Good. Play it out. Okay, then you got to move in, you're in charge. Okay, there you are. Okay. Nice.
Oh!
All right, good. One more time. I'm going to feed it high and wide to Matt. All three are moving as they read the ABCs. Come in. Good. Nice. All right, one more time. I like how all three are moving. So where's Matt have? A great actual contact point, good in court position, good bounce. He's got a finishing shot. He goes the closest distance. Good. All right, so you can do drills and feed them all before. They can feed it down the center and wide. But what I'll do with this drill, I'll say, you two come here. Okay? So what I'll say is, Lisa, I'm going to feed it. Lisa, you stay where you are, and Wendell, you charge at the net. Okay. All right? So in this drill right here, these two have to read what these two are doing. So they already know. So Lisa's going to stay back. Wendell's going to charge in. I want to see if Matt has the observation skills to notice that and do what? You can hit the ball back to Lisa. So you two stay on the service line when I feed it. Okay, Wendell charges in, Lisa stays where she is. Then, nice. And then you play it out. Perfect. Okay, good. Do it again. All right, same play. Wendell charges in, Lisa stays back. Okay, good. All right, do it again. Now the opposite. Lisa's in, Wendell's back. Okay, go ahead. And if Marley would hit it to the net person, it's trouble. One more time. Okay, Seth. Both of you stay back. Okay? Perfect. Obviously, he's a very astute player, so obviously both stay back. What does he do? He goes low and he splits the defense. But I'll make the claim again, when you do this drill, half the time, these two people don't even know if it's a forehand or backhand. It's amazing with 3-0 and 3-5 players that they really don't see what's going on. And if they can be able to read these things, I really do think they can be much more astute players and play really much better tennis. So I want to end with a little heresy here. Because again, as we said before, the Nadals and the Williams cover the court really well. I believe at a club level tennis, they're not quite as fast. So I want to go over the lethal lob, all right? Here's, actually I taught this to my 3-0, 3-5, even 4-0 players. So what's going to happen now is Matt will be in the serving position. Marley, you're at the net. Lisa's going to return. And now she's going to hit a lob return. She's going to hit we'll hit a good one in the corner, all right? And what I believe is, you've got three options you could hit back. A really weak one, have a medium one, and you can return a really great lob back in this corner right here. But so obviously, doubles is called that because there's two people. I don't think two people can cover three options perfectly. So what we say is if Lisa lobs really well, we're going to let you run all the way across the court and hit that perfect cross-court lob back in here. And if you get that, they're going to have to tuck their tail and run, and maybe they don't even get it, and it's your point. But what I would teach is what do you see so often? Is you see Wendell stay right here, and you see Lisa come up, and she stands right here too, and what does he hit? His dribbler over the net, where neither one of them is what? Neither one is in the finishing zone, neither one ends the point, and they let that fish off the hook. So what I would teach is I would teach Wendell's going to stand here. When he sees that great lob, he's going to come way up and put really 1 foot right on the center service mark, almost chase the net. And what I'm saying is Wendell's responsibility is to cover the net from here all the way over to here. Okay? So he takes all the really weak balls. If Matt can hit this sharp cross-court angle, we'll tip our hat, nice shot. If you can take that high ball like this and hit a really good passing shot down the alley, we'll give that to you as well. But I want this person to be the terminator. They're going to terminate the point every time standing in here, and that's the area you cover. What does Lisa do? She still understands, though she's hit a pretty good lob. She's going to come in, again, we're talking recreational players here. She's going to come in and stop on the service line. So any medium level type of overhead that comes right in here, she can handle all these. And it's only the ones over there that are really tough. All right? So what we'll do is we'll pretend you just served. Here's Lisa's really great lob. And Marilee, again, you're going to move over and go back to the service line in a little bit of a defensive position. But we really want to see how close Wendell gets as a terminator and how Lisa stays on the service line as a safety valve. Here we go. There's that great lob return. Everyone's in their roles, and Lisa can handle it. Okay, good. All right, let's do it again. All right. So Marilee, would you run over and hit a fairly weak shot and set up Wendell for us? Or Marley, sorry. Marley. Here we go. We go over, and Wendell's going to be the terminator here. There he is. Well, we want him to be able to finish that shot. One more time. Let's look at Wendell and Lisa's positions. One's a terminator, one's a safety valve. There's a really great lob. Okay. Ideally, nice hit. In my system, that first ball Marley hit, in my system, whose ball was that? That was Wendell's. Because Wendell, you cover where I laid those marks down. Pardon? Yeah, you cover that pretty much that whole singles court. You're the terminator. Any weak ball coming back, that whole singles court you own. So go get her again. Over, a little step over. There, that's your ball, and you end the point. So the concept is, on this, what we all have to do is, again, read what's happening. Because if I'm hitting a great lob right in the corner, Wendell's the terminator, she's a safety valve. But there's a little bit of a different effect depending on how good it's hit. Now watch, this changes the dynamic. This lob doesn't go right in the corner, it just goes over Matt's head and lands halfway over. So the baseline person doesn't have as far to go. Wendell can't be quite as aggressive here. I think Lisa's still the safety valve, but you aren't quite as aggressive because you see the difference in the court position where the lob lands. So here we go. It lands not as far over. Wendell still moves in. And nice. All right, nice. Let's give a hand for our hitters. All very nice. Thank you very much. So those are the comments I wanted to make. So what I've learned in my teaching career is I believe it's really pretty easy to teach sending skills, to teach grip and footwork and stroke work. Isn't that tough? Our players stand in front of the mirror, look at themselves, practice a few hundred times, they got it down. I really think more than anything what holds our recreational players back is their lack of reading or receiving skills. They move too slowly. When I'm a 3-0 recreation player and I see that ball come low, and not till it bounces in the service box before I start going forward. I would say if all of our 3-0 players, when that ball is 1 foot and 2 or 3 feet off the ground, and they see no gain in altitude, if they start moving forward then, they've just increased their court coverage skills dramatically and they're a much better player. So I really think it's worthwhile to teach a whole system, how to read different heights over the net, to read spin, speed, and trajectory, and there's drills in there. When you teach a lob, you got to say it's high, but also it can be high and sharp and high and deeper. It gets more and more variables. I think a person can make a 3-day camp, an hour and a half each day, just on teaching reading and receiving skills. So I believe that's really important. And then second, what I did is, for me, I taught the ABCs. I believe there's 2 types of players, developing players and mature players. Have a little fun and tell your players, come to the drill, because when you come to my drill, you're totally self-absorbed when you're a beginning player. And we teach them after the stroke work and the reading skills are down. We teach them to understand their own actual contact point, their own balance, their own court position. And if they understand all 3 are in their favor, they got finishing shots. If 2 are less in their favor, they have a setup shot. In drills, you teach them what's the most high percentage setup shots. Then as a player, I really think they can do two things. Make very few unforced errors, and also know if they're driven back further, they got to add more height, so they can always keep their opponent back in the setup zone as well. So then what you end up is having the hate drill. So at a minimum, your person never misses, keeps their opponent deep, and their opponent hates them because they always do that and they're out there all day. And then if we teach them for their own selves, take it for granted, then read those three variables, the ABCs and their opponent. If they can read if it's a forehand or a backhand, high or low, on deep or shorter, I really have a good feeling of what my opponent can do. And we teach first on them reading their opponent's contact point, and you expand the peripheral vision. Read the contact point, read the racket face, then read if it's out in front or in back, then read the body, stable and moving, then read all that on the court. If they can read those things, more and more variables, they can read 6 or 8 or 10 of the ABCs as opposed to one. That's what our pros on TV do. That's what anticipation is all about. Then they can really cover the court well. In teaching our high performance players that type of system, I really think we can teach any player how to really anticipate, which I call legalized cheating. So good luck with that. If it works for you, great. If not, come up with your own system.